May 31st, 2025. Welcome back to This Week in Waukesha podcast series, episode number 2. And it's my same guest as episode 1, Pat Nettesheim, Waukesha native, Waukesha North graduate, class of, can I say it?
I don't care. Yeah, I'm an old geezer. Go ahead.
1987?
Oh,
83.
you're
That's right. You're a
fine.
couple years out of, yeah. I'm class of 85, but not Waukesha North. But
Well, we
yeah.
were there together then for 1 year.
Kind of were, yeah. No, if I wasn't, no, I didn't go to North. I'm not from here originally.
Oh,
so,
that's right. That's right. Were you in Buffalo or Chicago at that
in
time?
Buffalo. Yep, I was growing up in Orchard Park, home of the Bills. So,
And
but
Ani DeFranco.
Anita Franco, yes, that's right. So, but anyway, in the first segment, we were talking about the birthday party Pat is throwing for Les Paul on June 9th at Hannon's from 4 to 10, and there'll be some great live, and it'll be 4 live bands, including a Dead cover band, which I'm really excited about. Working Man's Dead.
A Dead cover band live.
Yeah, live Dead cover. Yeah, I mean, that's all amazing. It's free, and donations of money and instruments or other gifts in kind will go to Music Success that Pat started just about a year or two ago, that provides free guitars and guitar lessons for veterans, first responders, anybody that suffers from PTSD or any type of trauma. And I wanted to get to that backstory. You knew since you were 4 you wanted to play guitar. Yes. Thanks to a great sound system your parents had at home and some great LPs your mom had. But sometime years later, in 2006, you met a veteran, Vietnam War veteran named Dan Van Buskirk. Did I get that correctly?
Very good, yes.
And Dan was living with PTSD, and I don't know what, something prompted him to want to take guitar lessons or something, and he met you. Did I have that right so far? And we'll tell the rest of the story.
Yeah, really what it was. And it's, you want to talk about serendipity, to use what I think is a Mark Twain-ism.
Yeah.
I was teaching at Cream City Music at the time in Brookfield. And I had decided, since I had been teaching guitars since about 16 years old, that I really wanted to focus on my own career. I was playing piano in a jazz combo. I was doing singer-songwriter stuff. I was playing in a rock band. And so I wasn't looking to pick up any more students to teach. And Cream City Music, a good friend of mine, Sarah Gallenberger, had given me a call, who had worked there. Her Uncle Joe Gallenberger, who now lives in Waukesha with his lovely wife, had owned Cream City Music at the time. But Sarah said, hey, we got somebody who wants lessons named Dan Van Buskirk. And I didn't call him back because I just forgot. And I was so busy with everything else. And he had called, and then finally I returned his call, and I said, Dan, I'm sorry, I know that's not professional and so forth. And he said he already got an instructor. And but he said, how do you teach guitar? And I said, and this will tie into what we're doing. I said, well, basically blank pieces of paper. I just decide, figure out where you're at and where you want to go and what you want to learn. We'll teach you songs right away, because he had said a band he loved was the Eagles, and Take It Easy, Peaceful, Easy Feeling, all that sort of stuff. He done, which are perfect songs because they have your initial chords in them. So my theory is always to teach somebody something they can apply immediately for immediate success. And Dan said, well, do you mind if you think it'd be okay if I changed instructors and took lessons from you? And so I knew the cat that was teaching him, and we would do that all the time, if somebody seemed to be a better fit for someone else. So it was cool. So that's how close I came to not meeting Dan. Then he came in for lessons, and I found out, he said, I have a disability. It's PTSD, post-traumatic stress. So I started learning about that. Excuse me, Canadian smoke here. Forest fire. I should be really clear on that. And I started teaching him how to play. But he also shared with me that he, with his PTSD, had trouble remembering, had trouble concentrating, had difficulty focusing. And guitar was helping him do those things. It was helping him be on task. It was helping with his memory. It was helping open up those words I used before, windows of serenity. And also, going to high school, Waukesha North in the 80s, we didn't learn, and hopefully it's changed, but we didn't learn anything about Vietnam. I think we saw one film that we had to have our parents sign off because it showed some nudity, not because somebody gets shot in the head and people covered with napalm. It's kind of screwed up. Um, so Dan here, this guy is a walking history book. And he wanted to know what it was like to try to make a living as a professional musician. I wanted to know what it was like to be in combat in Vietnam. And so we freaked each other out with our stories. And Dan suggested we go to the VA in Milwaukee, play for some of the men and women there in spinal rehab. On the way down, I met with Joe Gallenberger because his dad at Cream City Music had just passed due to complications from PTSD. And Joe gave me 2 guitars to give away. Dan and I went to the VA, gave the 2 guitars away, and it was obvious we had to teach these gentlemen how to play. So this is important because you ask where my inspiration was. I was just following the path, and it was leading me to this, and it was so helpful to these folks that we got back to my studio and I Google searched guitars for vets, and this is before there were vans for vets, vets for vets, pets with Tourette's, and all this stuff. There wasn't anything really like that out there, and nothing existed. Those 3 words together. It said Guitars for Vets. That was the name. Healing power of music in the hands of heroes. That was our slogan, and we became a nonprofit and went forward. Guitars for Vets has grown to over 150 chapters nationwide.
Wow.
And I helped start affiliate chapters in Australia and also the UK.
Very cool.
So the importance of that is this was based, it's changed a little bit since I left, but it was based on this teaching method that got Dan involved, where you basically meet the student where they're at and you help them, just like the path I followed that brought me to start Guitars for Vets with Dan. We offer those same pathways to our brothers and sisters who want to learn and are navigating trauma. And this is a joyful way to deal with that pain. There's many ways to address pain or mental suffering that is needed to heal, but isn't very much fun. This one's all about focusing on the joy, opening up, those moments where your soul, your mind, your heart can heal, building community and camaraderie, which we're going to be doing at this Les Paul event that folks will see on June 9th. And to the other part of your question, last September, I left Guitars for Vets as well as Dan to start this new venture, Music Success, which has a broader scope as we're serving veterans and first responders, including police, firefighters, and medical professionals, and frankly, anyone else. That's our focus. But if somebody comes in and they're really hurting, we can find a home for them.
Sure. Do you have a process for vetting those people? Like, do they have to like you mentioned with Guitars for Vets, those vets were referred by social workers, case workers. Is it for people like kind of walking in from off the street? Do they have to kind of
Yeah, that's a good
show paperwork or documentation?
yeah, differentiation. Guitars for Vets has become very focused on needing the paperwork and the confirmation that these are vets referred by medical professionals and so forth, which works great for them. We are very different. You just tell us. I really don't care because I'm not afraid of somebody. Stealing valor is a terrible thing. But if somebody comes in, thinks they're a vet and need the program and they're not, guess what? They need the program.
Yeah.
So you just tell us. We take, all I need is name, number, your email, and your address. And that's it. And maybe a photo so we know it's you. This is really easy. I'm taking away all the bureaucracy, all the paperwork. We're just focusing on raising the resources as we need to as a 501c3 to further this mission and give these free instruments and free lessons. And again, I'm going to go back and a pathway to finding joy again on that journey towards recovery.
That sounds great. How are you? Do you already have your 501(c)(3)? Are you in the process of getting that like finalized?
We received it. Yeah, we are
Oh,
an
congratulations.
official
Okay,
nonprofit entity, so your um, donations may be tax deductible.
that's great. And so I want to emphasize to learn more, go to Music 6S, and that's music, music, the number six, S as in Sam.com. But now that you're a 501(c)(3), you can also get the other URL .org. So
That
that'll
is
be,
correct. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's we just go with .com because it has that
Sure.
nice little song that everybody .com.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So, but the
Yeah.
.org, it's kind of the violins
Dot
play, and
org.
they
Not as
know that it's a
catchy, is
nonprofit and a charity.
it?
So all good stuff.
Yeah,
But so I have to ask, what do I have to ask here now?
I can tell you about some Les Paul meetings if you'd like to know
You
that.
met Les Paul.
A couple times.
Let's hear it. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. The first time I met him would have been I think it was about 1990,
Okay.
91. He was kicking off the opening of a rock and roll McDonald's on 76th Street near
Wow.
Southridge Mall. And there was a line of folks in there, waiting to meet him. You could meet him, get an autograph on a picture. But I brought my 1981 Les Paul custom Gibson cherry burst guitar because I wanted the inventor himself to sign the instrument. And this is where it gets pretty funny. So I
What year was
nobody.
this again?
What's that?
What year was that again,
This
Pat?
is about
Sorry.
90.
Okay.
1991. And so I'm coming in with my instrument, and Les is sitting at a booth with a couple. I think Rusty, his son, was there. There was a photographer, a bunch of them taking pictures. And I brought my guitar up for Les to sign it, and he moved his head in such that I cracked him in the back of the head with the Les Paul. And all the cameras are
Whoops.
going off. And I remember patting him on the head like Benny Hill did to that little guy that I was pulling the jokes on. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Les. That was my first meeting with him.
Wow.
Can you imagine I knock out the inventor
Was
head?
that captured on film? I know in those days we didn't have the cell phones
Well,
and
there
the.
was all these pictures that went off, and nobody would
Oh,
give me a shot of it. I mean, there's probably
oh
one
God.
of boom,
Yeah.
and he's taken out by his own guitar.
Wow.
Boy, that was so embarrassing. But he's, being the nice dude he is,
Yeah.
he laughed it off, shook it off, and he
Oh, that's
signed
great.
"Keep on Picking Patrick Les Paul," and I had to clear coat it over. What was
Yeah.
That was great. And then a couple of years later, I was working with a gentleman, a good friend of mine out of Milwaukee, Eric Gear,
Mm-hmm.
on establishing a Les Paul Music and Arts Center. So this is
Okay.
before Discovery World and the Waukesha Museum and so forth. And Les came to town to talk to us, and so I got to have dinner with him and spend some time with him and his son Rusty. And we took a tour of Waukesha, and I was the only one in the crew that knew Waukesha well, so I got to be
Yeah.
the tour guide.
Yeah.
And we were looking for his old house, and he says, "Well, what you want to do is you're going to look for a pink house, and there should be a German Shepherd tied up out in front. You might be a
Wow.
little stiff." So
Yeah.
I mean, this is the guy's sense of humor.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
sure.
and
What neighborhood was that?
we were looking up behind your neighborhood, my friend. It was up
Really?
behind Banting School up in that area. I think it was
No
closer
way.
to the airport, but that's
Okay.
where we ended up.
Yeah.
And he somewhat knew the area, and it was a real special afternoon because this guy is like, I refer to him in our ads as a party for Grandpa Les, because that's what he felt like. Everybody's,
Yeah.
America's grandfather.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's crazy. So when you whacked him in the head, because he was born what, like 1911 or something like that, or like,
It would
so he
be, I
was
think
like,
it'd be, what, it'd be 15? Yeah, 1915.
so at that point he was, like in his like late 60s, early 70s when you whacked him in the head
Yeah,
back
yeah, and he
then.
still made it to 94. Is that
Yeah.
amazing?
Oh yeah.
And
So
he didn't die of an aneurysm, so thank
yeah.
God for that. Or I'd be like the fan, for the Cubs.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Bartman. Yeah. You would have been Les Paul's Bartman. Yeah. That would have been a tough one to shake off. So that's wild. But yeah, there's that great mural to Les that shows his birth date and I think his passing date, and I think it was like 19 or 2012 or something like that. I forget the exact, um, but it was early
Yes.
in the teens here.
Yes.
But what a life and what a legacy to
Well, yeah,
celebrate.
unless
And
he would talk to me about playing the Club 400,
that's right.
and, also the Red Rooster, he talked
Mhm.
about he'd play there with Bing Crosby.
The Red Rooster over on Springdale.
Yeah.
Really? It
I
was
think
that
it's like
old?
yeah, and he's like, "We played a bunch of these joints, man. Did we sink those?" Talking about, drinking at the time
Oh
and
yeah, closing them. Yeah.
me and Bing.
Bing Crosby and Les Paul playing at the Red Rooster. And I'm
Why don't
guessing
they
some in the 1940s or something like that.
yeah,
I'm
they gotta
imagining.
embrace that. I haven't been to the
Yeah.
Rooster in
I've
decades.
never been inside.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like stepping into the past
We'll
directly.
have to go in there for a beer then.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
man. Let's do it. It's a great, Waukesha tribute to the past that's current. Definitely
Yeah, no
need to
doubt. Oh, that's
go
crazy.
to, and you need to go to Hannon's on June 9th.
Hannon's on June 9th. Doors open at 4 o'clock. And
Yeah,
the event goes till 10 or maybe later.
yep. Jesse Volker,
So,
Aaron McGroovy, the Dead End Social Club, Working Man's Dead.
yeah,
Lots of dead stuff to
sure.
celebrate the life.
Yep, yep. Now, I would be remiss if we didn't mention the guy that introduced you and me
Yes.
um, with through Civic Media, Max Inc. Radio's Rocker.
Ah,
Who?
yes.
What's his name again? David
Yeah, yeah.
Schneiderman,
Oh, you said it, not me.
whose parents still live across the street from Waukesha South High School.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was you guys were doing this was a couple summers ago now at the county fair, Waukesha County Fair,
Yeah, we were
and you had
playing
your
with
own
the
tent. You had the whammy stage.
yes, Whammy. Full disclosure, I'm on the board of directors for Whammy,
Thank
and
you
we
for
did
sharing. And what does whammy stand for again for everyone's benefit?
yeah, Wisconsin area music industry. So it
Wisconsin
is
area music industry.
I see it as a support group for people that are addicted to music.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
And my job with Whammy is to help establish opportunities for musicians to play out. Are they all paying? Unfortunately, that's
Yeah,
the society we live. But you got to get out there. You got to get out there. You have to play. And the county fair, which we're doing again on Thursday, July 17th, is the
July
Whammy
17th. Yep.
Music Success Stage.
All
We're,
right.
we're, we're working with the Pocket Q people, Nick Smith, and so forth. But yeah, I mean, Wisconsin Area Music Industry is a sister nonprofit with music success because we're both really in trying to create more musicians and help those that are out there, and to some degree that can be traumatizing as itself trying to make a living on an LP's worth of tunes, to quote the great Todd Rundgren.
Love it. Oh, Todd Rundgren, great quote. Hey, so in the 2 minutes we have left, Pat, what is it? Oh, Pat had to step out for a second here.
Yeah, here we
Pat,
are.
I'm having the same trouble with my help here. In the 2 minutes we have left here, what is it you want listeners to know about Les Paul's birthday celebration on June 9th and why they should come?
Well, I'm really happy to see that Les Paul has been embraced by the city. Growing up, I heard stories from him, but there really wasn't much other than a sign. I think it's in the home of Les Paul.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 20 years, we have really started to embrace the man he was and
Yeah,
the influence that he's had on humanity. It
yeah,
is that big. You cannot diminish that. Les told me when I asked him who really invented the electric guitar, he talked about his buddy, his friend, Leo Fender. He talked about his friend whose last name was Bigsby,
yeah.
who we know those tremolo units.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then he looked at me and he said, I was the first one to get to the patent office with a big smile on his face. So that guitar stuff is important. However, nobody else was really dabbling in the overdubbing, which is multi-track recording, the basis of being able to record instruments separately and people at different times and now send that across the internet and you can put an album together with anybody in the world. That is because of Les Paul. He has brought a gift to us all. And what a treasure for Waukesha. And I would like to really build this over the years. So as we talked about the other night, Don, is making a magnet for people, musicians and lovers of music to pay homage to a man that was not only a great inventor, but I'll tell you what, if he didn't invent anything, he still would have been my friend. Just a wonderful, caring human being. And I think that alone epitomizes the whole nature of what it means to be somebody living and growing up in the city of Waukesha.
That sounds great. Patrick Nettesheim, Pat, founder of Music Success, and then previously to that, Guitars for Vets, and now the new annual celebration for Les Paul on his birthday. Please be sure to join us. I'll be there co-hosting Monday, June 9th from 4 to 10 p.m. at Hannon's right there on Broadway in downtown Waukesha. Thanks for sharing your time this morning and your stories, your many experiences, and really looking forward to collaborating with you on this event and on more great things to come. I want to thank my producer, the mighty Max Martinson, and Max has a very promising broadcasting career in front of him, so I hope we can get him more involved in our efforts, along with the rest of the civic media family that love these local Wisconsin celebrations, if you will. And I want to thank everyone for listening in. And please remember, safety is everyone's responsibility. Good mental health, as Pat will attest, is everybody's right. And enjoy this beautiful weather we're having, and continue acting locally and thinking globally. And looking forward to seeing everybody on the 9th. And thanks again. Go Ramil Mahagav Galer and see ya.